Ugh. This fingering smells funny. This fingering smells like day-old coffee. Years ago, I put out a video called Is Hannon Helpful? Trying to get at the answer to a question that's been bugging me. I wanted to really think critically about why this is the first thing that teachers recommend to their students when they're looking for basic fundamental piano workouts. Like, there's plenty of etudes out there's plenty of things you can work from. Why is it always Hannon? It seems the video struck a nerve with a lot of you. And while there are many things in that video that I still stand behind, there is one big thing I need to get out of the way, which is to say, making YouTube videos is hard. And whenever you're tackling a big task, whether that's mastering your instrument or trying to run a successful YouTube channel, there's a big temptation to replicate the results rather than replicating the process. Making a good YouTube video requires a lot of research and time to formulate an argument that can withstand criticism and discourse. And I feel that I've failed to do that in this first video. So, here I am revisiting Hannon. So last week on Twitch, I did a speed run of Hannon. I wanted to work through as many of the exercises in as shortest time as possible, while staying safe and not injuring myself. I was determined to prove that Hannon is not helpful, and that if you do it too much, you can injure yourself. And while I only got about 2/3 of the way through in about 3 hours, I did come to a very interesting conclusion, which is not what I expected. So I'm going to take you through it, and I'm going to share my thoughts on Hannon and which exercises I think are helpful and which are not. Coming up. What is Hannon? So I'm actually going to start off the stream investigating that a little bit. So this is the guy right here, Charles Louis Hannon. So he was a French piano pedagogue and composer, lived from 1819 to March 1900. So this is obviously a very up-to-date study in piano pedagogy. He is best known for the work, The Virtuoso Pianist in 60 Exercises. That's what we're interested in today, which is still used today for modern piano teaching. But over the years, the method has faced criticisms. Okay, so let's learn a little bit more about this guy. So he was born in northern France in the village of Renescure, 1819. Trained as an organist by a local teacher. It is not known if he received more advanced musical education. Okay, this is interesting. Music was never the exclusive focus of Hannon's life. He was also a devout Roman Catholic, a Third Order Franciscan, and member of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. So in addition to being a musician, he was also religious? What? What? Okay, so he's a good Christian boy. Okay, we've established that. Okay, so now we get to the Virtuoso Pianist. Piano students all over the world know of Hannon's famous training exercises. Both Sergei Rachmaninoff and Joseph Levine, I'm not sure if that's how you say that, claimed Hannon to be the secret of why the Russian piano school delivered an explosion of virtuosity in their time. For the Hannon exercises have been obligatory for a long time throughout Russian conservatories. There were special examinations at which one had to know all exercises by heart to be played in all keys at high speed. That sucks. That sounds terrible. Ugh, I don't want to be part of that school at all. It has been a custom in some music schools. Look at this. It has been a custom in some music schools to hold a Hannon marathon in which the exercises are played competitively. So like a Hannon race? Okay. Timer starting now. Here we go. So first, I want to talk about some general issues I find with Hannon, and then we're actually going to go exercise by exercise. Locked hands. So many of the exercises target specific things, specific fingers or specific techniques. Okay, extension of 1-5 and exercise for 3-4-5. But if you look at all of the exercises in Hannon, you'll notice that most of them have one thing in common. Most of these exercises have your hands in a kind of locked position, meaning the hands are making a shape on the keyboard and then holding that shape up and down the keyboard, which is fine, but we have to acknowledge that most music doesn't do that. When you watch pianists' hands as they tackle most pieces of music, they're very dynamic and very fluid, and their hands are moving all over the keyboard. But Hannon often has you just holding your hand in one shape, and as we'll soon see, this causes some problems. Okay, I'm going to pull a safety card, and I am going to slow down the tempo to 90, because this just seems barbaric. Utterly barbaric. Number 3, let's keep going. Crossovers. I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't like the way Hannon addresses crossovers. There are times when Hannon just tries to isolate an issue too much, too specifically. And it doesn't really get at the heart of the issue. Like, why are crossovers so difficult? Hammering a crossover over and over with this pattern is not going to make you better at crossovers. Crossovers are so context specific. Like, it's not just about the crossover itself. It depends on where you're crossing over to and from. Here, it's all just white keys. So, like, what is this supposed to accomplish? With crossovers, it's not the turning the thumb under the hand that's the hard part. It's making sure you land in the right spot. I think the challenge with crossovers is less so how you're moving and more so how successfully are you moving to where you need to move, if that makes any sense. Diatonicism. Most Hannon exercises are mindless diatonic exercises. There were times during this speed run where I was having maybe a little bit of trouble with an exercise at a certain tempo, and I actually found it easier to not think about the notes and just focus on keeping my hand in the same shape and moving it up, just thinking about fingers and not about notes. This is terrible. Like, to me, that goes against any sense of musicality that we might strive for. You need to be thinking about the notes you're playing, not just fingerings and techniques. This is one of those things that will make you a less musical player and make you more dull and mechanical. And, not to mention, everything is in C. And if you want to play any of these exercises in other keys, well, you're on your own. And one of my biggest issues with Hannon as a whole only applies to you if you are reading or obeying the text within the book, like those instructions that they give you on how to play the exercises. When this exercise is mastered, recommence the preceding one and play both together 4 times without interruption. The fingers will gain considerably by practicing these exercises and those following in this way. Yeah, they're terrible. They have you playing these exercises for way too long on end. Oh yeah, and it's also said this here too. As soon as exercise 1 is mastered, go on to exercise 2 without stopping on this note. If you're going to work out of Hannon, you need to take more breaks. You need to just stop playing every minute or two and shake your hands out. Because if you keep playing on and on and on like Hannon wants you to do, your arms are going to lock up. And you're going to get really fatigued. And you're going to run into some problems. In this next portion of the video, I'd like to go through the exercises one by one and give you my thoughts on them, whether or not I think they're helpful. Useful for beginners, an intro to diatonicism and strengthening 3, 4, and 5. Not that different from 1. Not that useful. Not that useful either. A nice preparation for diatonic thirds. A useful shape can use rotation for this. Another preparation for diatonic thirds. More diatonic thirds. More diatonic thirds. Not that helpful, unless your 3/4 trills are absolutely weak sauce. Oh yeah, you're gonna see this. You're gonna see these words a lot here. Preparation for the trill, for the 3rd and 4th fingers of the left hand in ascending, and for the preparation of the trill. Apparently, we have to preparate the crap out of trills. You can't just like try a trill. And, you know, you have to prepare for the trill. Good for strengthening 4 and 5, but there's no need to play trills with these fingers. This is a 1/5 extension, not that useful. Okay, how many diatonic third preps do we need? This one says it's a 3/4 trill preparation. That's bullcrap. Forget this exercise. Straight up diatonic thirds. Just skip number 5, number 7, number 8, number 9, and number 13, and just do this one. What is the point? This is helpful if your 3, 4, and 5 fingers still need some work. What is the point? Not that different from number 17 in terms of use. If you want to work on your 2/4 extension, be my guest. Otherwise, skip this one. How can an exercise be so long and contain so many notes yet be so low impact? What is the point? What is the point? What is the point again? This time with thirds. What is the goddamn point? What's the point? What is the point? It's okay. Mostly for thirds and the 3, 4, 5 fingers. Oh good, we're preparing for the trill again. Gosh forbid we actually play a trill at this point. We're just not ready yet. If you struggle with the 4/5 trill, this exercise might give you the confidence you need to succeed at that. An idiomatic exercise, great if you're an aspiring classical pianist. There are many great ways to practice the crossover. This is not one of them. Nor is this. Nor is this. The 1/5 crossover is important, but this is not how you practice it. I see what this exercise is trying to do, but just don't. What is this nonsense? Oh, this kind of looks like an independence exercise, but basically I just want you to play this whole thing with your thumbs. So you hold these, 5, 4, 2. Beautiful. Look what they're having me do. Look at what they're having me do. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This is so stupid. And now, back to our scheduled programming. Just skip this one and go straight to scales. Scales. Chromatic scales. And in different intervals to create harmonic interest. Ignore the fingering at the bottom of page 64. That junk is useless. Arpeggios. Actually very useful. Being able to stretch the fingers is very useful. Same as 42, but with dominant chords. Very nice exercise. Repeated notes, definitely useful. Repeated notes in a scale? I don't know. More of the same, not sure about this. Okay, just skip anything in the book that says preparation for the trill, and if you want to work on trills, just play trills. Repeated notes in groups of 4, very useful. This one is useful, but be careful. Only take this one at tempos you're absolutely comfortable with. This applies to the rest of the book too, but this one especially. Like the last one, this one has your hand moving up and down the keyboard in a locked position. This is fine, but be sure to take breaks, shake out your hands every minute or two. Legato thirds, always useful. This one is especially good for finger independence, which is seldom addressed in this book. A great way to get better at octaves, which come up all the time in piano music. Thirds throughout a whole scale is a bit much, but it can't hurt. Scales in octaves in all the keys is useful, although I'm not sure it was necessary to write this part out. This is such a specific technique, and I wouldn't worry about this unless you are working on a piece with this specific thing in it. Again, very specific technique. Scales and octaves, but they are broken. Not sure if we really needed to include this, but okay. This takes octaves really far, helpful if you like octaves and really want to get good with them. A solid finger independence workout. Surprisingly, there's no mention of finger independence in the text here, and in my opinion, this one should have been placed way earlier in the book. Fourfold trills. This one is helpful if you want to learn fourfold trills. The tremolo? This is the tremolo? No, this isn't right. Maybe a tremolo, but there are many types of tremolos. Forget this exercise and instead just focus on whatever specific tremolo you want to learn. So after about the first 30 minutes of the speed run, my hands actually felt great. After all that playing, it seems like they were really getting warmed up and acclimated to the keys. But the problem started about an hour and a half into this. This is where my arms started to feel like they were locking up, like I was getting fatigued from just playing and playing and playing and playing. Now, I took Hannon and pushed it farther than any of you ever should, but do not be naive. Be aware of the dangers of just doing exercises for hours on end. You need to take breaks and break up exercises with playing actual music. But you see the problem here also? Do you see how repetitive they are? You see how monotonous they are? Do you see how like these exercises kind of inhibit expressiveness? Things like dynamics, like they're not built into the music. Like you'd have to force them onto this. Like, not that if you try to play Chopin or something or two Xanarkand after this that you're going to be totally expressionless, but you're going to get used to playing in this very flat kind of manner because Hannon allows that. And I think my final conclusion on Hannon is that some of these exercises are helpful and it can be good for warming up. But do not, please do not use Hannon for building technique. I mean, sure, exercises can help with this. Scales and arpeggios can help with this, but there are two other factors that we're really missing here when it comes to building piano technique. Number one is playing real music, dealing with these challenges in the context of a song, rather than just having somebody hand it to you in the form of an exercise. It's important to understand how all these little techniques fit in the context of music. The second thing we're missing is the apprenticeship. If you want to get better at any instrument, you need to find somebody who's better at playing that instrument than you are and study from them and learn from them. A big part of any apprenticeship is having the mentor watch you do the thing you're trying to do so that they can correct you and make little improvements. All of the little micro adjustments that need to happen to get your technique really strong will never come out of Hannon. You're not going to have somebody watching over you playing Hannon all the time, correcting every little movement you make. So you have to study with someone. And if you really like Hannon and like doing those exercises and find them helpful, knock yourselves out. But just be careful. Take lots of breaks, study with somebody, and don't forget to also play real music. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitch. And looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Happy practicing.